Hey guys, welcome back to Pook Yaps. I'm Cute Spooky, and today I'm yapping about a game I've been spending a lot of time on recently, and that is the cozy free-to-play game Infinity Nikki. The gorgeous graphics and vibrant world are what first drew me to this game, but I wasn't so sure if I would enjoy the gameplay. I loved playing dress-up games as a kid. I visited Stardoll daily as a preteen, and played many Flash-based online dress-up games during that era. As an adult, I enjoyed styling outfits in Animal Crossing New Horizons, but that's about the only fashion type game I've played. I briefly thought about getting Fashion Dreamer, but the reviews for that game weren't that great. Since I haven't played that genre of game in a long time, I wasn't sure if I'd like this game, but the art style was so pretty, I knew I had to at least give it a try. Then one of you guys told me there was a frog gacha event going on, and I knew it was my time to shine. I've since fallen in love with it, and I managed to get the frog outfit. The beautiful world feels even more magical with some of the creatures you discover while following the main story. There's this big dragon guy who writes poetry, talking frogs, and a creepy hat-looking guy. I didn't realize the game would feel like a fairy tale at times, but I adore it. If they ever release an enchanted forest area with lots of mushrooms to jump around on, it's over for me. There are several ability outfits you unlock following the main story. Some of them you'll use all the time because you need them to do activities like bug catching and fishing, while others are only used in specific situations. Bug catching and grooming animals work pretty much the same way mechanically. Some creatures don't mind you walking right up to them, while others will become alarmed. For the ones that become alarmed, there's two different approaches I take depending on the creature. For some, it's better to run straight at them and hit the capture or brush button before they can react. For others, you're gonna have to sneak the entire way because they're gonna flee well before you get close enough to interact with them. All of the animals are adorable, by the way. I hope the ability to tame them as pets or something will be added to the game eventually. Fishing is a simple mini game. You run up to an area where fish have gathered and cast a line. You don't have to worry about scaring them off. There are usually 3 fish per spot, but sometimes you might find a Whimstar fish there too. Fish are used as materials in outfits and for certain quests. There's a rarity system, and the rarer fish will be harder to catch, but it's still easy overall. The electrician outfit is one of the ability outfits that has a specific use case. It's also the one that corresponds to the frog outfit I pulled, so I switched out the default one for that one. Using it to repair borked electronics opens up a simple mini game where you have to route the flow of electricity. As far as other gimmicky ability outfits go, I've unlocked one that lets you glide around and one that lets you play the violin. The gliding one is fun, but you can only use it in a certain section of the map. I've only used the violin ability once, but it might be fun for someone who knows how to play music to mess around with. This game has a ton of completionist goals to work on. One of the completionist activities to do is take pictures at special photo spots. These are fun to come across. When you enter one of the photo op areas, you'll see a little prompt pop up where your current tracked quest usually appears. It took me a while to figure out what that meant. Taking photos is a bigger part of the game than I thought it would be. It's a part of quest, completionist goals, and so far it's the only kind of multiplayer aspect I've found. It's kind of a stretch to call it multiplayer. You can see where other players have taken photos and interact with those spots to summon and take photos with them. You can also like the photos they took and upload your own. Another thing to work on for full completion is reading every book you come across, and you're gonna find these all over the place. At first, I read through everything I picked up, but the lore was fairly generic, and none of the writing seemed too important, so now I skipped through all of it. I still enjoy finding and collecting them though. There's also an achievement system that tracks a bunch of different activities. Completing objectives from it rewards you with exchangeable currency for pulling on banners. So far, I haven't been intentionally trying to fill it out. It's been happening naturally as I focus on everything else there is to do in the game. This is a fashion game, so there are plenty of pieces of clothing to craft and collect. Some of them are easy to craft, and others take rarer materials, which are gonna take you a while to gather. Some materials I've yet to discover. The ability outfits have been easy to craft, which makes sense because you need them to progress the main story and unlock more gameplay mechanics. There's a tracking feature built into the world map that makes farming materials super convenient. At first, you can only track the general area of each material, but after you reach a certain collection threshold, you can start tracking their precise location. The general area is good enough on its own though, though, because the circle is small enough to easily find what you need. The map also tells you how many Whimstars there are in each area and how many you've found. It even marks the spots on the map, which you can see if you zoom all the way in. That's gonna make it easier to figure out which ones I'm missing later. I'm doing pretty good on my own for now, but I'm sure I'll end up following a guide at some point to find the ones I'm missing. Whimstars are needed to unlock nodes on the game's skill tree. It's where you unlock outfits and upgrade abilities, so you'll want to find and collect all of them. Another resource that the skill tree needs is ability essences. They're pretty much experience points you acquire as you catch bugs, fish, and gather materials. Collecting enough to progress the skill tree seems like it's going to take forever because you only get one essence every time you perform the corresponding action. For example, if you need 300 fishing essence to unlock the next node, you're gonna have to catch fish 300 times. However, there's a special realm to visit to trade in materials for essences. It takes a bit of energy to do it, but you're gonna collect it way faster. It's not something you can skip out on. Upgrading ability outfits is necessary because that's how you're able to obtain rarer materials that won't spawn otherwise. Luckily, I find the activities relaxing, and sometimes I log on to do those instead of questing, so I'm sure I'll get there in no time. There are also mini games spread across the main town areas in the game. So far, I've played the crane minigame and the pinball type minigame, but there are two others I haven't found yet. The crane minigame is super easy. You tilt the crane to avoid hitting trees, and you change between two lanes to avoid rocks. Make it to the finish line, and you win. The pinball one's difficulty ranges from easy to kinda difficult. I've only found a few of them so far. You have to hit the ball into the goal on the opposite end of the table, but there's obstacles along the way. There's also an NPC you check in with over time who rewards you for finding and beating them. The main story is cheesy, but in an endearing way. Some of the bad guys are cringe. I love them. I also encountered a funny bug that added to this feeling. It was during what was supposed to be a dramatic interrogation, but the characters kept standing up when they were supposed to be sitting down. The camera kept closing in on random body parts instead of what was supposed to be their faces. Anytime the camera zoomed out, you could see both characters standing and clipping through the chairs. I could not stop laughing. The cutscenes feel like I'm watching the plot of a kid's anime, but one that's so bad it's good. I'm enjoying it enough that I don't skip any of the cutscenes, and I'm actually paying attention to it. Platforming in this game is incredible, and I say this as someone who does not typically enjoy platforming games. It's a major part of this game, but I'm loving it. Jumping and floating around feels responsive and fluid. I never feel like I'm fighting the controls or the camera, which is something that frustrates me a lot in other platforming games. Having verticality in the environment makes exploring even better. I'm constantly getting distracted when trying to run from one objective to the other because the map is full of fun things to explore, which is refreshing because games can get kind of boring when you feel like you're just going from one objective to the next to the next. So I'm glad this is feeling more open to me. I think this game would be perfectly fine if it removed combat. It's that lackluster. It might work if a new method of defeating enemies was released. Currently, you fight with an orb of energy that shoots out straight in front of where your character is facing. Combat scenarios themselves are rare compared to the amount of platforming puzzles and other activities you'll find while exploring around. I really love the designs of some of the enemies though, so I don't want them to disappear. Also, you need the materials you get from them to craft some clothing items. There are special fragrances that you can craft that upgrade your abilities, and it does make combat a bit more fun. Currently, I have one that splits my orb into two, and I have a charge ability that makes the orb seek out enemies, so you don't have to worry about lining up every shot. Those upgrades might be why the default attack feels so plain. I don't really like that kind of game design. There are tons of other activities across the map too. There are areas where you can go bike riding. It didn't feel the smoothest control-wise. I still prefer walking around everywhere. This is just my habit. Whenever I play open world games like Skyrim, I walk everywhere. I never use a horse because I'm constantly getting distracted, like, ooh, what's over there? I gotta go check it out. You can also ride air balloons to get the perfect photo opportunities and to get a better view of your surroundings. There's this outfit hopscotch game where each tile you step on changes a certain piece of your outfit so that you have a randomized look by the end of it. A lot of times the end result is ugly, but I did use one of my walkthroughs as inspiration for the holiday outfit I created, so it can be useful. There are also outfit battles scattered across the map. map. These styling challenges have styling themes that range from easy to difficult. The easier ones only use one theme, but the more difficult ones start combining themes. It really depends on how much clothing you have in your collection, so you should try to collect everything you can. There's a gamba machine for clothing in the first town that uses regular money for pulls, but it's expensive. I'm sure there's other stuff I'm forgetting or haven't found yet. Maybe all of this will start to feel old over time, but right now I'm having a blast exploring and getting distracted by everything. There are plenty of things to upgrade and upgrade materials to find, but I'm not engaging so much with that part of the game so far. I'm sure there's gonna come a time where I have to start paying attention to it, and that may be where the game slows down. I don't like when things get too grindy in gacha games, but this game's world and gameplay are so relaxing to me that I might be able to stick past the point where I'd usually drop these kinds of games. Being a free-to-play game means there's always some event going on. I've played through 2 of them so far, the Wishfield Journal and the Companions Day events. The Wishfield Journal event had a bunch of different objectives to complete that involved exploring the world and doing different activities and meeting certain characters. The Companions Day event unlocked a series of side quests where you had to take photos and repair electrical circuits. It was pretty short compared to the other event, but it had a storyline. I like how the main town is decorated for the event, and there were also daily rewards to claim for it too. The Froggy outfit was part of the Companions Day event as well. By the time this video comes out, the Shooting Star Season 1.1 update will be out. I haven't looked into the specifics of it because I don't want to be spoiled on anything, but it looks like it's going to be a big update packed full of new events and outfits. It'll be a good time to jump into things if you haven't already. Okay, I think I've yapped about this game enough for now. I will make more videos on it in the future if I keep playing it as much as I am now. My next video is going to be a special New Year one where I'll reflect on the past year and set some intentions for the new one. I'll also be introducing a reasonable gaming challenge I'll be going for and sharing the template with you guys if you want to follow along. If that interests you, subscribe so you don't miss it. With that out of the way, I hope you're living today in a way you won't regret, and I'll see you in the next one. Pook, out.